This video is going to go over how to fill out your line drawing techniques worksheet. In the boxes on the left, you can see there are a whole bunch of different ideas, and I want you to fill each box in with a different idea on how to create value with lines. So the very first box says short dashes. So go ahead and fill that box in with some short dashes. The second box is called hatching. Hatching is when the artist uses straight lines to create value. So what I'm going to do is draw in straight lines with my pencil. I recommend using a number 2 pencil for this activity. The third box is called cross-hatching. That's when you use straight lines, but you go in multiple directions. For this box, you only need to go in 2 directions. The fourth box is called stippling. Stippling is when you take a whole bunch of dots, and you can put your dots closer together to create a darker value or space them further apart to create a lighter value. So go ahead and fill that box in with a bunch of dots. And the fifth box says wavy lines, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw in wavy lines for that one. Then we have scribbles. So this is just like it sounds, just make a bunch of scribbly marks with your pencil. This is also called scumbling. After that, you can fill in the final 6 boxes with whatever kind of design ideas you would like. Go ahead and use my designs if you would like, but you should be filling in all of them. I'm purposefully leaving the last box empty because I want to see what you can come up with. The next part of this exercise says use these techniques to apply tone to the geometric objects drawn to the right. Select your own light source. So we are going to be adding value to each one of these objects, and we're going to be using different line drawing techniques to do that. Before we can do any value, we need to decide where the light source is coming from. For this cube, I'm going to make the light source right at the top. You can use whatever line drawing technique you would like. I'm going to do hatching for the bottom part of this piece. I'll add some extra lines down at the bottom of the shape to make it look like a shadow. The top of the cube is really light, so I want to just use a few light dashes just to give it a little bit of value, but I don't want to go overboard here. On the side, I'll use scumbling. And the last side of the cube, I will use cross-hatching. Notice how I kept a pretty dark value on both of these sides of the cubes because it would be shadowy, so you want to make sure you add lots of lines here. The next shape is the cone. Go ahead and decide where you want the light source, and then you will need to fill in the shape and its surroundings with some sort of line drawing technique. For this one, I used stippling for the shape and dashes for the floor, making sure, of course, that I try to show the shadowy areas by creating closer dots together, and then also lighter areas by spacing them out more. Next, I have the cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and start by deciding where the light source is coming from. And then I just used regular old hatching for most of the shape of the cylinder. The background, I did a lot of cross hatching, especially in the wall behind the cylinder. I wanted to create a really dark background so it would pop. And then on the table, I used regular hatching with cross hatching for the shadow. You don't have to do the same types of line drawing techniques that I use, but you're welcome to if you would like. The third part of this exercise says connect the dots below with 3 straight lines, one very light, one mid-tone, and one very dark. You're welcome to switch pencils here if you need to get your dark line, but you should have 3 straightish lines, and they should be varying with how light or dark they are. And then for the 3 spheres on the right, I want you to get really experimental. So pick some wild, crazy line drawing technique and try it out and see if there's a way that you can show value with the spheres. So what you'll notice is I just kept the same light source, which was the upper left-hand corner, and I created a dark shadow along the right-hand side. Again, try to be experimental here, have fun, try some different line drawing techniques and see what you can come up with, and see how three-dimensional you can make these circles look using those. Your finished worksheet should look something like this. I hope that you learned something with this and realized how lines can be used to create value. These techniques are especially helpful when you start using pens or ink in your work because you still want to have value, but you may not be able to blend like you would with a pencil.